Hi, I'm Deacon Dan Lowery. We've been discussing the Beatitudes this week, and today we turn to the sixth Beatitude. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. Again, we're looking through the perspective on the Beatitudes that is part of our inheritance in the church. It's part of the inheritance from the early church fathers, those brilliant, very spiritual men who did most of the work from the end of the first century up until about the 7th century. The sixth Beatitude then, blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. Four insights, perhaps, from the early church fathers. First, the early church fathers believed that there is a particular trajectory to the Beatitudes. And so we don't get to cleanliness of heart without first journeying through the first 5 Beatitudes. We just don't decide to become clean of heart. It's a part of a lifetime of discipleship. We must first empty ourselves of the idols in our lives. We must first become poor in spirit, even to the point of mourning that which we've abandoned. We must become meek, and in other words, we must radically abandon ourselves to God's purposes in our lives. And we have to open ourselves to such an extent to God's hopes and dreams that we now hunger and thirst for right relationships in our lives, in our relationship with God, our relationship with our communities, our families, and with ourselves. And we must also hunger for God's mercy as well, and for sharing, be committed to sharing God's mercy to all those whom we encounter. So the first insight, we have to journey through the first 5 Beatitudes before we get to cleanliness of heart. A second insight, when we talk about cleanliness of heart in our contemporary world, there's a not so subtle assumption that we're talking about something such as sexual purity, some concept of sexual purity. This is much too narrow. This is not how the early church fathers understood cleanliness of heart. They understood cleanliness of heart as a single-hearted focus on God's hopes and dreams for them. When we talk about cleanliness of heart from the perspective of the early church fathers, the better synonym is integrity in the spiritual life. So a second insight. And then a third insight. Our understanding of the promises associated with cleanliness of heart tend to be too narrow. Yes, we will see God, but it's not just a matter of seeing God in heaven. The early church fathers had a much broader vision. That broader vision led them to understand seeing God, that they would see God in all things, to see God in creation as well. The closest we get into that concept in contemporary theology is with Karl Rahner. Karl Rahner saw all of existence as engraced. When we get to cleanliness of heart, we see God everywhere. We see God in all things. Our world truly becomes engraced. And so our sixth Beatitude, blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. 3 reflection questions then, having to do with this sixth Beatitude. First, what would it mean for me truly to be single-hearted in my faithfulness to God? What would it mean for me to live a life of spiritual integrity? What would it mean if I truly was clean of heart? Second reflection question, what would it mean for those whom I love? What would it mean for those whom I encounter in my day-to-day life? And third, what would movement, what would progress in this direction require of me? Where am I called to at this point in my journey of discipleship? And so our sixth Beatitude, blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. Our last session on the Beatitudes, tomorrow. We'll see you then.